How to make 1 lakh rupees in 15 days. I normally charge good money for advice like this, but hey, it's the festive season. So here's my gift to you all. My step-by-step process of making 1 lakh rupees by working just 30 seconds every morning for the next 2 weeks. It's a super simple, super lazy way to get rich quick, and there are only 3 things we need. 1. A mobile phone. 2. An instant messaging app like SMS or WhatsApp. And finally, we need 10,000 mobile numbers of people we generally know, like college friends, colleagues, ex-colleagues, people you meet at a conference, etc. So that's it, a mobile phone, a messaging tool and 10,000 phone numbers. And by the way, अगर आप इस वीडियो को हिंदी में प्रेफर करते हैं तो CC बटन दबा के हिंदी सबटाइटल्स को ज़रूर एक्सेस करें. And now let's get started with our very own 15 दिन में कौन बनेगा लखपति. Alright, so today is day 1 and we start our work at 8 o'clock in the morning. Let's start with step 1. Split the 10,000 phone numbers into 2 groups of 5,000 each. If you're done with that, then we move on to step 2, which is to the first 5,000 phone numbers, send the following message. The share price of Infosys is going up today, 100% guaranteed, from Shankar at awesomestocktips.com. And to the other 5,000 phone numbers, send the message, the share price of Infosys is going down today, 100% guaranteed, from Shankar at awesomestocktips.com. Now, one of these 2 events is bound to happen. That is, the share price of Infosys will either go up or the price will go down. This gives you, the tipster, a 50% chance of success, which means there are going to be exactly 5,000 people who would have received an accurate prediction from you. We start day 2 only with those 5,000 people who were fortunate enough to receive the right prediction from you. Again, we split them down the middle. To the first 2,500 people, we send the message, the share price of Reliance is going up today. And to the other 2,500, we say that the share price of Reliance Industries is going to fall today. And again, just like magic, one of these 2 events will have happened and you would have accurately predicted the share price movement to 2,500 people. So on day 3, we split the 2,500 people into 2 sets of 1,250 each and feed them messages on the fate of Hindustan Unilever. And by the end of day 4, we are left with 625 people who have received 100% accurate stock tips for 4 days in a row. I suspect by now these 625 people would have some respect for you as a stock guru. And because a guru needs some guru dakshina, you should propose a small fee of just 100 rupees. Let's assume everyone signed up for the service and you would have netted 62,500 rupees in revenue. Then by the end of day 5, we are down to 312 people. By day 6, it's down to 156. By day 7, 78. And by day 8, it's down to 40 people. So these 40 people have received 100% accurate stock tips for 8 days in a row. And hopefully some of them have used these tips to make some money. And it won't surprise me if your Nostradamus-like stock prediction skills gets you featured in magazines and popular talk shows. This should be enough to convince all 40 subscribers to move to a platinum package of 1,000 rupees to continue receiving your 100% accurate stock tips. And that's another 40,000 in revenue. In the final few days, 40 goes down to 20 by the end of day 9, 20 to 10 by day 10, 10 to 5 by day 11, 5 to 2 by day 12. And by the end of day 13, there would be only 1 person who would have received 13 accurate stock tips in a row. I wonder what this person will be thinking of you when he figures out that his golden goose has laid the last of her golden eggs and flown away. But here's what you have done. In just about 2 weeks, you've earned over 1 lakh rupees by spending next to nothing. And the only expertise that was required to pull this off was your ability to send SMS and WhatsApp messages. While the above exercise was a piece of fiction, the process should not surprise you one bit because this is pretty much the way stock tips float around. The sources are questionable and the research is beyond shoddy. But of course, if you're looking for a more trusted source and well-researched content on mutual funds, NPS, tax-saving products, insurance, etc., then don't forget to subscribe to the ET Money YouTube channel and tap that bell icon for timely notification alerts. The Wolf of Wall Street is a true story about Jordan Belfort, a stockbroker in New York City who pled guilty to securities fraud and stock market manipulation. He did that by running a boiler room or an outbound call center as part of a penny stock scam offering questionable securities to his investors. Now that was in the 1990s. The Indian version of that boiler room model seems to be playing out in the city of Indore, where a large number of call centers offering stock tips have mushroomed. It is very likely that you might have received a call from an Indore number where the opening line goes something like, "Namaste sir, आपका stock market में investment कैसा चल रहा है?" The modus operandi of these call center based stock advisory units is simple. The caller on the other line will use hard selling tactics to sell you their subscription packages, which can be anywhere from 25,000 to 1 lakh rupees. Now 25,000 rupees is a lot of money for information, and the only reason why this method works is because everyone is looking for a get rich quick scheme. And the guy on the other line exploits this human behavior by promising returns of 200 to 300% on your investment. In this section of the video, I particularly want to talk about a few techniques that the unscrupulous advisory firms employ, which we all as investors have to be careful of. The first technique is the free trial option, wherein the caller will offer a 2-week free trading account. And during those 2 weeks, the caller will bombard you with over a dozen stock tips and highlight the successful ones, giving you an impression that 90% of the stock tips are correct, although maybe half of them might have been right. I personally tried one of these 2-week trials and figured out that the stock tips being sent to me were delayed by almost 30 minutes, which means I was being provided information after the event had already happened. It was a clever trick, and I assume most people don't catch on to it. The second technique used to hard sell the plans is the refundable deposit ploy. Now let's say you want to try this out for a month with a small 500 rupee stock tips package. Now these firms will definitely ask you for a deposit ranging from 2,000 to 5,000 rupees, saying that it is compulsory due to some government rule. If you fall for it, then you'll almost never be able to retrieve the deposit. After weeks of trying to get your money back, it is likely that you'll give up and agree to convert the deposit into a 3-month stock tip package, which you're anyways not going to use. A third technique used by these callers is the obedience to authority ploy, which was popularized by the Stanley Milgram experiments in the 1960s. The Desi version of this is where the calling agent will pose as the vice president of the stock advisory firm and dazzle you with many fake stories of his glories. He will use every trick in the book, including making a reference to how he's a distant relative of the RBI governor or how he gives a few lakhs every month to charity because he earns so much. And the more you engage in discussion with this vice president, the more persuasion tactics will be employed on you, including exclusive personalized advice and giving you a discount because you're from the same hometown as the caller's parents. All this is purely fictional and done to gain your trust, and more importantly, to get you to buy their stock tips package. Our advice here is simple. Please stop assuming that there exists a get-rich-quick model in stock market investing. And even then, if you're tempted to take advice from others, do check for the advisor's credentials and standing in the market. Remember, the SEBI or Securities and Exchange Board of India has strict rules on who can offer stock market related advice, and licensed advisors have to go through many certifications and follow rules regarding disclosures, code of conduct, and continuous education. The problem with stock tips is that they come with an expiry date, and it's this fear of missing out that drives beginner investors to take urgent action. So let's say a friend of yours comes in and says, "Dude, the stock is trading at 14 rupees right now and is expected to touch 70 rupees in the next 3 months. I have put in a buy order for 10,000 shares and I strongly advise you to buy some shares in the stock immediately because the opportunity will be gone by today evening. When something like this happens, we suggest you to ask yourself two questions. Question 1. How much of an expert is your friend on company valuation? If you don't know the answer to this or are not confident of his abilities as a stock picker, then you're already on a sticky wicket. However, if your friend comes up and says he got this stock tip from a credible source, and this is when you have to ask the second question, that is, who is the source of this information? If the answer to that too is not available, then it is wise to assume that the credible source who gave the stock tip to your friend might be one of the 10,000 entries in my phone book. Remember, the hotter the tip, the more you are likely to get burnt. As a rule, always say no to tips and kickstart your own financial journey by carving out 2 to 3 hours every week to understand different types of financial products, company financial statements, how different industries work, asset allocation, tax laws, etc. And if this gets a little too overwhelming for you, then feel free to engage the services of a paid financial planner who has your best interest at heart. I hope you liked this video and the lessons we have packed into it. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this video with your friends and colleagues. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to catching up with you next week with another insightful video. Until then.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.